Hello, Nicholas here with Addiction Freedom. The imagination, it can help, but it can also hurt. And by that I mean the imagination is funny. It's a funny thing because if you use it, you basically keep it and it stays sharp and active. But if you don't use your imagination, like a lot of other things in life, if you don't use it, you kind of lose it and it kind of goes away. And that's kind of interesting. Um, just as a reminder, addictions, they form because it was something that you did repeatedly. It's something that you consciously anticipated doing again in the future. You saw yourself doing it again. You thought about yourself doing it again. You thought about doing it again. And it's something that you became emotionally invested in. Why? Because it likely made you feel good. If you do something and it makes you feel good, or if you do something and it gives you some sort of emotional response, that's what you're looking for. That's emotional investment. And the longer you have this addiction, the heavier it gets and the more emotional investment you can potentially build. And that's why addictions become so powerful. And that's why they're not easy to quit. You can't just snap out of an addiction because it has a lot of weight. It gets stronger over time. When you anticipate doing the addiction again in the future, remember I said it's something you consciously anticipated doing again in the future. Anticipation creates an image in the mind. Images held in the mind create emotional energy, emotional investment. And emotional energy causes action and change. And by change, I mean the addiction can get stronger, it's changing. Or the addiction can get weaker, it's dissolving. This action and change should be a reminder that you can control how you change. You're going to change no matter what, okay? You're going to be different in 3 years. You're going to be different in 6 years. You're going to be different in 21 years. We're changing no matter what. But you can control how you change. And with a routine that has emotional investment, that makes you reflect and articulate, and you do repeatedly, if you have a routine like that, that's how you can determine how you change. You're going to change no matter what. You have your conscious willpower. Now, a free will is kind of a weird idea, but let me give you an example of what free will is in this context. Say you're living your life and an addictive urge comes to you and you're battling the addiction, you're trying to change. You have the ability to change how you react to the urge. Say an addictive thought comes to you out of nowhere. You have the ability through your conscious willpower to change how you react to it and how you see it. You will always have a sense of free will when it comes to how you react to these things that pop up inside of you, compulsive urges and addictive thoughts. You have your conscious willpower. Your conscious willpower, you can make yourself do anything. You can make yourself go on a walk. You can make yourself pick up that dirty laundry. You can make yourself do something nice for somebody that you care about. Your conscious willpower will go through a few things that are required to change. 1, 2, 3 things specifically you need to change. 1, you need to articulate somehow, whether that's writing down on paper or speaking. You need to reflect on what you've written and reflect on what you have recorded. And you need to imagine at regular intervals, it could be 5 to 10 minutes a day, it could be randomly throughout the day. You need to imagine how you actually want to live. You need to imagine the reasons why you're wanting to change, how you intend to live. So that is the first thing needed. The next thing needed is repetition, which creates new development in your brain. And obviously you can do something repeatedly for hours and hours and not ever change, because those things have no emotional investment. And once you get repetition and concentration and emotional investment, you get the final step here: emotional investment, mental investment. A good example of mental investment, say you spend 200 hours building something. Okay, there wasn't a lot of emotion in that 200 hours. You're just building something. There's no emotion here. So that's a mental investment, like doing something repetitively for work or for a hobby or what have you, where there's very little emotion. But then there's emotional investment, like, for example, with a special passion you have in life, or maybe a relationship, or maybe drugs. Like if you do drugs and they make you feel better emotionally, That's emotional investment. So this leads into your dominating thoughts, which grow like seeds and create the whole the subconscious landscape that you have. Each dominating thought pattern, dominating thought habit, which comes from all of these, the emotional investments and the mental investments you have, they literally turn into seeds and trees, and that dictates your whole subconscious landscape. Now, when you do a 533 routine or some routine like it, you're taking your conscious willpower, your conscious imagination, your energy, your cognitive energy, and you're going through these three necessary phases. You're going through these three elements. And if you do this over and over and over again, after a few months, 3, 4, 10 months, you will free yourself from the addiction because you will change. It's inevitable. That's how all change occurs, is through these three aspects. When you do them simultaneously, you get the change, you get the subconscious momentum. Subconscious momentum is what creates all of your, how you feel when you wake up in the morning, how you feel throughout the day, how you feel when you wake up. It creates your mood. It creates the random ideas that come to you. And it creates your urges that come to you. And the most important thing is your subconscious landscape determines the movies that play in your head. You know how you're just minding your own business and then there's movies that just play in your head? You're not even they're just literally happening to you, and it determines how you see the world. So the things that you do repeatedly that have emotional investment, that you pay attention to, determines your subconscious landscape. This determines your subconscious momentum, and the stronger the subconscious mind, the harder it's going to be to shake an addiction, to change, to get free of it, because the subconscious mind is very powerful. It's where your compulsive urges come from. It's why the addictive thoughts have so much power, and it also determines the subconscious landscape, the subconscious momentum, determines your self-image, how you see yourself, and the random conversations that occur within your mind. If you're just minding your own business and all of a sudden there's a conversation going on in your head, that's self-talk, which is determined by the subconscious landscape, which is determined by the things that you do in repetition and that you reflect on and imagine doing again in the future, and that you are emotionally invested in. The imagination can get strong or it can degrade. The imagination can become degraded and deformed, or it can become vivid. The clarity can become increased, the clarity of your imagination, and the direction can become solidified. If you don't use your imagination at all, it's going to atrophy and you're going to lose the ability to have vivid imagination, vivid dreams, visions that come to you. It's going to go away. You can also damage the imagination by misusing it. For example, pornography. If you watch pornography and you've decided you don't want to watch pornography anymore, every time that you relapse and do it again, it's going to be a form of misuse. You're misusing your imagination, and that's going to directly hurt your self-image. The past trauma that you have can also, obviously, if you've been going through a lot of depression, or if you've been going through a lot of anxiety and pain inside, or maybe if you're having actual arguments, or you had a lot of arguments when you were growing up maybe, and you had a lot of emotional damage when you were growing up, that can really damage the imagination as well. And also your recent negative experiences. So this is just one example. If you just had a car accident, your imagination is not going to be thinking about, you're going to be imagining that car accident for the next week or so. Definitely the next 24 hours, you're going to be thinking about that car accident at all times. And then as the next few days and weeks unfold, your imagination is going to be centered around what? It's going to be centered around that car accident. So these are the things that influence the imagination. And then the things that build it up are guarding it, making sure you're using your imagination towards things that are aligned with your intentions, using it regularly like a muscle, because if you use it regularly, it will grow and it will sort of blossom. It will become more vibrant. Picturing more of what you want and not picturing what you don't want. If you imagine things that you don't want and that you're fearful of, that's going to create misuse. It's going to make it worse. your future vision, which is the most important thing to use your imagination for. If you spend 5 to 10 minutes a day thinking about the future version of you, the way you intend to live, your vision of how you intend to live, that's going to really strengthen your imagination as well and build it up. And your current dominating thoughts are going to directly influence your imagination, which is it's straightforward. Could be negative, could be positive, could be neutral, like something you're focusing on at work, or maybe you're studying something. Your dominating thoughts directly influence your imagination. So with all that being said, here's the cycle that traps people. Okay, here's why it stinks. You're trying to quit the addiction. The addictive thoughts and the urges come back and are too strong, and you fight with yourself and you relapse, and you fight with yourself and you relapse. And then this fighting damages your self-image and your imagination. And then the cycle continues. You try to quit, and this cycle continues, okay? My advice to you is stop trying to quit. Moderate as best you can. Moderate as best you can, but don't try to force yourself to quit. And just keep on reflecting and articulating why you want to quit and how you intend to live. Just for 5 to 10 minutes a day, I promise. And months will go by, and you'll start to notice subtle changes within you, which is the alignment that's occurring. And then enough time will go by, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. For me, it was around 11 months. Eventually, you're going to reach a point where the subconscious mind becomes aligned, and you will laugh. You'll laugh at the addiction. It's not even going to be a thing that you have to fight with anymore. You will be different. You're going to change. Everybody changes. You get to determine how you change, what you reflect on and pay attention to, what you repeatedly do, and what you imagine doing again in the future aligns the subconscious. Right now, if anybody is dealing with an addiction, that person's subconscious mind is aligned with the addiction. Their subconscious mind is defending the addiction. So once you change how the subconscious mind is aligned, you change the addiction and it falls away from you. I will see you in the next one. Take care now.